What's going on, everyone? Frank from 5AM Ramen, and I am in Hakodate. And this is the first video in a Hokkaido Ramen series. I'm in the Great North for some great ramen. And we're starting at the bottom of Hokkaido in Hakodate. And the first ramen shop I'm visiting is not a shop, it's a ramen bus. And the gentleman making the ramen, Hakodate style ramen, is in his 80s, maybe even 90s. This is going to be a lot of fun. Let's get this series started. Thanks for tuning in. If you're new to the channel, 5AM Ramen is dedicated to bringing you Japan's tastiest ramen. I'm Frank, and I think my body is ramen soup and noodles at this point. We're kicking off a big Hokkaido Ramen series with this video. Hokkaido is Japan's northernmost and second largest island. It's home to a lot of snow, gorgeous national parks, and ridiculously good ramen. Our first ramen city on this island is Hakodate, a beautiful port city that's one of my favorites in Japan. It's located at the bottom of Hokkaido. We're starting our ramen journey in Hakodate, and here's the rest of the plan. We're gonna make our way up from here to Sapporo, Japan's miso ramen capital and Hokkaido's largest city. We're then heading to Asahikawa, Hokkaido's icebox of a city and its second largest, home to piping hot shoyu ramen. After that, it's back to Sapporo, and we'll be spending a bit of time in nearby Chitose too. Our last stop on the trip is way out east in Kushiro City. Okay, enough about the Hokkaido ramen itinerary. We're starting off in Hakodate and in an epic way, with ramen that's served out of a bus. This place is legendary, but I was a bit concerned that they were no longer around. At least that's what Google was saying. But I was determined to find this bus, and digging deeper came up with some leads. Hopping in a cab, the driver and I began our search right from Hakodate Airport. After some phone calls and a bit of running around, we eventually found it. The bus used to be bigger, and I believe you could eat inside before. Now it's a smaller bus, maybe more of a van, but it's still got all the magic that's been there from the beginning. This traveling ramen shop is called Hakodate Ganso Basu Ramen. There are several ramen choices on the menu: shoyu, miso, and shio. But shio or salt seasoned ramen is the way to go in Hakodate. It's not even a question, and the magic that remains in the bus is because of this gentleman. It's amazing how he's still doing this. Ladling in that seasoning and soup, straining the noodles and adding them to the bowl, and putting on those finishing touches with the toppings. Amazing. Simple, delicious shio ramen. I actually got to eat this shio ramen in the lobby of the ryokan, or the hotel that's basically partnered up with the ramen bus. Here's my recap of this unique ramen experience from my hotel. Right over here, there's wallpaper that matches my clothing perfectly. First up, Ganso Bus Ramen. And it was just so much fun. I was asking the ramen chef / owner if I could take photos of him preparing. It was hard for me to kind of get up into the truck, but I took it from outside and he was like, "Oh yeah, go ahead, take as many as you want." And just watching him to be able to do that at his age is just so impressive. Something you see a lot in Japan, but I think across Asia as well. And it was quite an adventure to get there. I was talking to the taxi driver and he was like, they used to be here, but now they might have moved. So I dug a little bit because they've set up shop basically in the parking lot of this ryokan. And apparently they're not there the whole time. But what was interesting is with this sort of partnership with this ryokan, they serve you the ramen inside the lobby of it. What a great partnership. You wouldn't see this in Tokyo, but definitely in a smaller city like Hakodate. That's awesome. And everyone's been so friendly, just talking to him, of course, who's preparing the ramen, and the lady who is also bringing out the ramen. She was also very nice. She called me a cab from the front desk. The guy across from me I was talking to, we were talking about ramen. It's just nice when you go to smaller places, because in Tokyo, everyone keeps to themselves for the most part. But it is nice to have those little interactions that make it more memorable. And this was a memorable ramen experience, of course. Just seeing him prepare the ramen in his bus kitchen, so much fun. Now the ramen itself, I'm in Hakodate. I confirmed with him, I'm like, I gotta get the shio, right? He's like, yep. So I ordered the Hakodate shio or salt seasoned ramen, and it was great. It was so simple, nostalgic,
no frills ramen, but I loved it. And I'm a big fan of Shio ramen. From the big four, shoyu, shio, tonkotsu, and miso, I always come back to Shio ramen, and I have to say, it's probably still my favorite from the big four. Of course, depends on my mood. I eat a lot of the other ramen, and when I'm eating other ramen styles, I think, oh, this is this is so good too. So it's hard to say that, you know, Shio is my number one, but every time I do have Shio, I'm kind of reminded of like, hey, maybe it is my number one. Long story short, it was great, simple ramen. And a saltier Shio, just how I like it. Soft pork chashu, memma bamboo shoots, medium thick noodles, and just so warming with those cold temperatures outside.
Right after the bus ramen bowl, I went straight to one of my favorite spots in Hakodate, the top of Mount Hakodate. You have to use what they call a ropeway or a gondola to get up there. I made sure to get there before they close because the best view from the mountain is at night. It's one of 3 designated best nighttime views in Japan. Let me tell you though, it was cold at the top with that wind kicking in, probably closer to -15 or even -20 degrees Celsius with the wind chill. This is even though in Hakodate City at the bottom, it was only around -5 degrees or so. Anyways, a nice frozen reintroduction to Hakodate. Last time I was here, it was summer, so it was a little bit different this time around. Totally worth going to the top though. The 3rd floor has a nicer restaurant, and the 2nd floor, which was open at the time, has more casual dining vibes. I grabbed some hot milk and soaked in the views from the comfort of inside after braving those cold winds outside. Right after this mini mountain trip, I grabbed what else but a mountain of ramen. And it had to be Shio ramen since we're in Hakodate. It was the perfect medicine for that cold weather outside. This Shio ramen was at Hakodate Shio Ramen Shinano. It's a cozy little spot right across the street from Hakodate Station. Their Shio ramen has an equally clear, delicious soup that's chicken and pork bones. It's all boiled for 5 hours, but in a gentle way. Their special sauce, if you will, is an onion oil, which gives the soup on top some sweetness and some silky richness for flavor. Now here's my recap, both of the mountain and the ramen right after.
So it was an action-packed evening. Whisked myself away to the top of basically the city, taking that ropeway up. And what a wonderful view it was from up there. I have been up there before, but it's always nice to go back. And in Japan, it's one of 3 places that are said to have the most beautiful nighttime views. And it was also chosen among some of the best nighttime views in the world from the top of Hakodate. Enjoyed my milk there, and then finally ended up at Shinano, a ramen restaurant just across the street from Hakodate Station. Compared to the Shio ramen that was at the bus ramen spot, this was also quite salty. However, it was more oily. It had this richer flavor a little bit. Equally delicious, and what was fun about that bowl was that there was a little bit of fu inside, or wheat gluten. This is a signature up here in Hakodate. You don't see this ramen topping in any other styles of ramen. So that was a nice reminder when I was eating it that, okay, I'm in Hakodate. It's freezing outside, I've got delicious Shio ramen, and I've got some fu in the ramen itself. What a great day. I love this city. It's one of my favorite in Japan. I've got more to do in Hakodate and to show all of you in the next video in this Hokkaido Ramen series. Tune into the next video and you'll be seeing me not only enjoy Shio ramen at the most famous Shio ramen restaurant in all of Hakodate, but I'm also going to be snacking on some other Hakodate staples. This includes, interestingly enough, a burger joint and their Chinese chicken burger, along with a nice bowl of kaisen don, or basically fresh sashimi and seafood on top of rice. Changing it up a little bit, not just ramen in the next video. Tune in. And let me know if you enjoyed this video, what did you think of the bus ramen spot and Shinano, the place I just visited, along with everything else. Let me know in the comments below, and thanks for watching. Frank from 5 AM Ramen signing out. My sweater is kind of matching the wallpaper. God, it was so cold up there on the mountain. I feel like not only in the sweater I'm wearing, but my lips are the same color as the wall here. I was taking all my footage. I felt like my hands would fall off. Not as bad as it could be and not as cold as it's gonna be in Sapporo and Asahikawa in the next videos.